Thank you, Sylvain, for the nice introduction. Hello, everyone. Happy to be here. A quick question. Who is technical in the room? And who's in the executive? Okay, so half on the hands. So my talk is to talk about how to protect the company culture while growing. So I will not talk about how to create a culture, etc., but just about the growth and how to maintain it. So you'll see all my slides are with Zenika people with the red shirts, as you can see, and there's a true story about it. So who am I? So sorry for people who didn't see the season 8 of Game of Thrones. This is a spoiler. So I'm started 10 years as a developer, software architect. Basically Smalltalk for 4 years, then Java and Spring. Maybe some of you saw the technical guys, saw the talk of Jürgen Holler. So it was I was very happy to meet him because I used Spring for so many times. And in 2006, I co-founded Zenika with some colleagues of the previous company. And just to give you numbers so you know who we are, we'll be doing around $70 million revenue, and we'll be 500 plus people at the end of the year. We're basically in many cities in France, and we're also in Singapore and Montreal. This picture is a nice one because when we talk about culture, some Zenika go to holidays having their sweatshirts, taking pictures, nice pictures. And this picture, I like it specifically because when we talk about culture, Hugo on this picture traveled for 9 months doing a tour in Asia, and he had a backpack. And when you do a tour with a backpack for 9 months, you put very little stuff in your backpack. But he had his Zenika polo with him. So it's a good sign, I think, of the culture. And also what we happen to achieve in France, and this is the last presentation, of us, what we achieved to do in France is we have been doing the Great Place to Work ranking for 5 years. And last year we were first company in France as a best place to work for the company of less than 500 employees. So also this is a sign, and I will talk about it later about company culture. And just a bit of context, but this you know all of you. Maybe who know the movie show Silicon Valley? Yeah. So all this gift was made to him not because he's going to interviews, but to force him to go to interviews. So it's a very specific context where IT people are a lot solicited. And one last thing, I'm only here to share some experience. We're only almost 500. We're not bigger than that. We did this growth in like 10 years. So the only thing I can do is share experience and tell you how it happened for us. So I don't give you advice or things what to do, but just to share some experience. So first of all, about culture, one thing that is very important is culture has nothing to do with the size of the company. It's not about numbers. When we were 30 people a long time ago, quickly people start telling me, you know, Carl, we're 30, we're like a family, everyone feels nice, we're well, we don't want to grow, we want to stay at 30 people. Okay, when I go to the Great Place to Work events, I meet other companies. There were 300, 1,000, and I know a company in France, there are 3,000, and even them, with 3,000 people, they're afraid of growth. So since we are 30 people, so it's for 9 years now, people are afraid of growth, but we're still growing. Because what's important is not the size. What's important is the culture and the value that you have. The management, the only thing that we can do is to put a frame, to put an environment, a context, but the culture is everyone concerns, everyone is participating to the culture of the company. The second thing that is important, because it's not about size, because I do a lot of intervention, talks, etc. I met startups, other companies, you can be 5 in the company and still don't have a good culture or good values. So the thing that is important is if you're well at job, you're happy at your work, you are in a company that you're proud of, etc., etc., you have nice colleagues. This is the important thing, and this is the thing that you should look at. So you have to find the good key results, the good indicators. It's not about the size of the company, but is it, when I wake up in the morning, am I still happy to go at work? Because this is a first of thing, because sometimes people, even I did a short intervention on the news in France, because I wanted to show new companies with a baby foot football. I don't know the English name, football. stuff like that, ping pong tables, etc., showing how cool it can be. But I disappointed them because it has nothing to do with the ping pong or whatever things that you have in the company. It's really about the mindset. I met a company, for example, because of our ranking in Great Place to Work. They asked us to come and say, okay, look, can you help us change our culture because we have a lot of people resignating, etc., etc. And we even started to change. Look, we have a football, but no one is still playing it. So you can have a football, but no one will play because if you play that you feel that you're not working or you're making noise, etc. You see, it's all about the mindset, and you have to be aware of the coolness attributes. This is a consequence. It's not the main thing. Putting nice stuff is not the good thing. The correct mindset is the thing for the culture. And a few examples, it's based on trust, because one thing is that you have people working in the company and they contribute to the success of the company. So the most important thing is to give them trust first, and then they will trust you too. So trust is very important. So we have examples of, we can do unlimited home office. So for example, when people want to stay at home or for whatever reason, they can work from home. Or we have unlimited training. So this one is a little bit marketing, because of course you will not spend your year having trainings. But why I say unlimited trainings? Because when people ask for trainings, usually they have it. We always, almost, not to say 100%, never refuse trainings. But what I found out is I called it the Eiffel Tower syndrome. You live in Paris, or the MBS syndrome. You live in Singapore, you have the MBS, you don't go to it because you can go anytime you want. So people know they have training, so they're not specifically interested in having trainings because when they need one, they know they will have it. So it's not like they're... So this is trusting everyone, and everyone is playing the game. And second thing that comes with trust is almost the two face of the medal is transparency. You tell things to people, people tell you things. There's no hidden issues. And in this case, it's an example of me every week, almost, giving a talk, a 5-minute talks on our social network workplace to explain what's happening in the company, etc. And also, what people like, for example, is when we share with everyone the resignation. For example, we say, okay, at the end of the year, we see that didn't count, like 40 people left the company, and we can have the indicators or where they left and for what reason they left. So the last one, the 3%, is one person left for another IT service company, but others left for not a competitor or for the same job, but for a totally different job. So also this is an indicator of the culture of the company, because if you quit your job, it's maybe for other things, other personal achievements, and you don't go in the same kind of company, but you go to a final client, you create your startup or you join a startup, etc., etc. Then this is trust and transparency, okay? Trust, transparency, and having everyone participating to maintain the culture. Second thing, when you join a company, and it's much easier for a startup because it's obvious, it's the meaning. Why are you here for? What's the meaning? What's the purpose of the company? So Property Guru, for the keynote, you know what's the purpose of the company. It's obvious, so you can get a flat or an apartment, etc. So having the meaning. So this is the intrinsic motivations. So our meaning for us is to build a bridge between the organic world and the digital world. But the intrinsic motivation, and I read a lot of books about motivation, about management, etc. You know, a lot of literatures on it. And I found, this is my personal experience, that most of it will tend to those 3 points mainly. Give meaning, having a meaning at your work, having an impact on what you do something, you know that you have an impact, and have the recognition of your colleagues, your peers, and knowing that you're doing a good job. So this having an impact, I have a sample of it, because we in the IT world, we're very lucky, because we have different ways to have an impact. You know, like in some jobs, what I talk with some people, so you're can be in the marketing, the HR, whatever, you do a report, you work, then you send your results to your management or to others, then you don't know if those people will read what you did, you don't know if your work has an impact, etc. In our case, when we're IT people, for example, on the right, on the left for you, it's a unit test. So when you run a unit test and you have the green bar, That you know that your work is working. What you did is working, so you know that you did a good job. When you launch an application, so you're developing a web app, when you launch it and you can navigate through the pages, you know that you did a good job. You don't need anyone to tell you, oh, good, you did a good job, it's working. Agile, when you do Agile, you know it's a constant feedback loop. Every 2 weeks, you will do a sprint review, for example, etc. So you always get feedbacks. So we're very lucky to have these feedbacks. And of course, when we have feedbacks, we're very happy of what we do. And this maintains the motivation. And it's the same for what you do for the company, not only your direct work, but what you do for the company. And this is part also of the culture. Now, we did quite a growth. And one thing that I found is a sort of paradox. One of the books I read was Tribal Management, Tribal Leadership, maybe you know this book, saying that a tribe, a team, whatever, after over 40, 50 people, it's not being a team anymore because you don't know everyone, you don't recognize them, etc. So teams can be small, tribes should be small. And so I have this conviction. And then in our Paris office, that is the biggest one because this is where we started, when we were like already 150 people, I found out that people start knowing each other less than before. So they were much less present in events, in Parisian events, etc. And I was kind of upset. We do a lot of things, so why do people know less each other? But in fact, it's exactly the same thing as when we said a few years before that when you will be over 50, people will not know each other very well. So we decided to split the organization like a horizontal company with many tribes, many teams of 30 to 40 people maximum. So it can be the Paris office, the Singapore office, the Montreal office. So this is our small teams. But when the teams start growing over 30, 40 people, like in Paris and like other cities in France, we divide it in small teams again. So we will have just a series of small teams with each team a leader and a co-leader and 30 people inside of it. So it had a change. It changed the way people behave in Paris. So there's more people coming to the events. Themselves, when they come to the events of their team, they feel like some of them feel the same impression that they had when Zenika Paris was smaller. And for the Parisian events where everyone can come, there's more people coming because they have more this feeling of contributing to the company. So this horizontal company is important, and this is what we're trying to do. So we'll see how long it will take us, where it will take us. But if I did a small calculation of 40 entities of 40 people, it will take us to 1,600. So we have plenty of time to figure out if it will still work or not. And the second thing, again, because you remember what I said, culture, values of the company is not the management issue, okay? It's about everyone. Every day you feel and you work and you participate to those values. And when everything goes well, it's easy to have values. But when things get harder or you did something that was more difficult, etc., now it's the situation where you see if you really have values. So because it's the concerns of everyone, what is important is the complementary of a horizontal company is the empowering company. So to give the responsibility to everyone to take decisions. So lower the gravity of the decision making. It's not about me as a CEO or about the manager taking a decision. It's about letting your team take the decision. And usually your team will know better than you. Okay. If I work with my chief marketing officer who is here, she knows better about marketing than me. So it's about letting others take the decision. But for this, you need three principles to accept so you can lower the gravity of the decision making. First of all, of course, everything of this seems obvious. I can show a lot of examples of what they do wrong, etc. But first of all, when you take a decision, of course, it's for the interest of the company. Seems obvious, but it's not because we want to do this, it's cool, whatsoever. It has to serve a purpose. Second thing, you need to have all the information to take your decision. Do we have enough money, budget, how is the market, the context, etc. Again, it comes to transparency. I talked about transparency, those 5-minute talks every week, etc., etc. If you have transparency, then you can have information so you can take a decision. And last but not least, because this is a huge subject, is having the necessary skills. You cannot take the decision if you're not skilled to take this decision. And this implies a lot of things. When you arrive in the company, your skills fit because you have a recruitment process, etc. But then the company grows, it's not the same job, so are your skills still the same? So it's about training, improving, upskilling, etc., etc. So these are the main points about empowering company. So this is an example of an initiative of a person who decided in Lyon, in our Lyon agency, to teach code in schools. After 1 year, he tested it. Then he did the feedback. It was very nice, a lot of positive feedback from the students, from the school, from the people who participated. So he came to me and saying, okay, we want to extend this experiment in the whole company, in all the agencies, but I need 18,000 euro budget. So we said yes, and so now it's deployed in other cities. But you see, it's an emerging initiative because people are responsible, they know how to do things, and they contribute to, and everyone is very proud of this initiative, and everyone is very willing to be part of it. But it became a self-emerging initiative. No one decided of it. It comes from the people. And this continues to create the value and the culture of the company. Important feedback loops. We do a humor of the month survey. Every month people say if they're happy, neutral, or sad. One obligation, if the person is sad, the manager has to phone him, contact him to see why he's sad. Once someone put sad, so I phoned him and he said, okay, you told me that you will phone in the 24 hours. I just wanted to see if it was true. So just checking. Good, I phoned. Great place to work. We don't do it for the ranking. Of course, it's nice to have a ranking and that validates what we do. But there's a lot of questions. We can analyze what's happening. So it's a survey of what's going on. So constant feedback, like in any project, a feedback loop. And also something, get inspiration. The previous talk was talking about innovation, getting out, seeing things, etc. So when I came first in Singapore, I saw that I love this country. There's a master plan, a vision on 10 years, 50 years. So I said, okay, we should do the same thing in France, have a master plan. And in 2016, for our 10 years, we asked everyone, how do you see Zenika in 2026? So of course, there's a frame that is fixed. We were a growing company, maybe we're 1,000 people, etc. So how do you see? Two initiatives, because in all those talks, a lot of those workshops arrived to the same conclusion. We want to have a social impact and we want to contribute to the education. So 2 years after this survey, we have our Zenika Academy, so we give classes, help people find jobs, etc. And we are creating at the moment our foundation to contribute also. So this came from everyone after those workshops in the logic of having a master plan. So, and asking people about the master plan is after coming to Singapore and seeing how it has been done here. So getting inspired also. And one last thing for the future, because now we're at the size of a company where I personally think, and this is the role of the manager or of the CEO, the leader, I found that it's not enough anymore, and we need to make implicit things more explicit. So we are in the process of writing like a handbook, training the managers when we onboard a new manager, what is like to be a manager at Zenika, etc. So we have to transmit and share this culture because when we were less people, it was easy. Everyone knew about it. People talk about it. But now that we are around 500, we don't have time to spend. We don't have a lot of time to spend with everyone. So things must be more explicit. And so we're in the process of doing that because we still have the correct indicators and we want to keep our culture value. So we know that we have to do this, okay? Because so everyone can contribute to it. So to summarize, culture is not about size, okay? This is the main, we can get confused by that, but of course, when we grow, it's one of the reasons that we can lose our culture, this is true, but it's not a direct reason. Process, one thing about process, process should not replace things, should not replace human. Process is about scalability. Okay, so when you do process put in place, it's only for scalability, it's not to change how people work. So it's about the mindset, having the correct key results, what to survey, transparency, trust, having a meaning, a purpose in the company, knowing that your job has an impact, the recognition, and as an organization point of view, like I said, horizontal company, so you empower everyone, you let people decide, and when you're a horizontal company, one of the most important jobs of the managers is communication, making sure the information between all the entities and all the companies is flowing. So the flow of communication, very important. Feedback loops, this is important also, and the master plan, so people know what will be the next steps, they know where they're going, and everyone can contribute to it freely in a known frame, and in this frame, everyone can participate in it. So thank you for, I think it's 20 minutes, thank you for your time. We will take the questions after with Jessie, after her talk, so we will share the same QA session. And as I say, the feedback is important, so you can also flash this QR code for feedbacks. Thank you very much.
Thank you.